Let me find Cardi. And I'll let him up on the stage. Welcome in, everybody. Give us just a second.
I was down, but now I'm
Here. Just getting everybody in here. There he is. Okay. You just have to accept that invitation. And we are off to the races.
All right, can you hear me?
Yep.
I want to make sure I'm not getting double audioed.
Just if you just mute yourself on Discord, you'll be good.
Okay.
Or sorry, unmute yourself.
Unmute myself.
Yep, unmute yourself. So they can hear you in the background, but they're not getting the direct feed. And then when you unmute yourself, I'm going to mute you on my end. And we're going to be totally good.
Ah!
Oh, give him a second. He's struggling. He's struggling.
Yeah, it decided the Discord wanted to update.
Okay, his Discord's updating. So I am going to go ahead and we'll just kind of get started. I think we could start off, of course, by talking about SLS. What a wild ride it's been. As you can see, we have successfully cleared this last big area of liquidity. So when I've talked about in the past about building a floor, right, this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, right, this big chunk of liquidity that that gets added basically and is showing a bunch of traders and institutions positioning. And as you can see, this has been pretty much all buying pressure, right? Like this shows you where the bias lies, right, on all of the volume that's been put in on this indicator. And everything up here has just been buying pressure, right? We haven't seen any real significant selling pressure, honestly, since we were like down here, right? This was the last time, was in the 450s, and since then this has just been a runaway train. So even today, like this is really a just a very small pullback, right? Like you could see that we still haven't even broken the body of yesterday's bullish candle, right? So this is really just not concerning whatsoever, right? I remember we were talking about SLS maybe, oh God, what was it, a month ago now, something like that. And you know, I know that a lot of people were kind of worried when we had given back you know, a little bit from the top. But this is kind of what I was saying, right? Where sometimes we just have to be patient. We have to wait and let the market do what it's going to do, right? Like a repricing is generally not going to be quick, right? It can sometimes happen quickly, right? Like it happened really quickly here. But, you know, as the company gets larger and the market cap grows, right, it takes more capital to move it. So at this point, we could expect that it would get a little bit slower, right? There's also been a little bit of dilution that's happened, right? A little bit of dilution. And that makes the float chunkier, right? That makes the shares outstanding chunkier and makes the float chunkier. So let me get Cardi up here. There we go. So, you know, in all, as far as the technicals go, I mean, I think we've all already talked about the science, you know, to the point of exhaustion. But as far as the technicals go, like this is a really strong uptrend. And it's really similar to kind of what we saw back here, right, in early December before we started going absolutely vertical, right? These two structures are incredibly similar. And I'm not saying that it's necessarily going to be the exact same thing, but what I am saying is that the amount of pressure that we built back here that led to this big vertical explosion is the same kind of pressure that we are seeing applied right now. And it's being applied very notably when there are more shares available to trade. So, this situation looks really good from a technical standpoint. Um, any short seller for the last 4 years, if they haven't closed their position, they're underwater. I imagine that a lot of short selling happened right here, obviously, and that kind of brought us down. And most of the covering probably happened here, right? Once everybody got shaken out, and that provided the institutions with the liquidity to start the next leg up. So this is looking beautiful. And all we're doing is just looking at the volume profile, right? We're seeing where people have positioned. And a hell of a lot of positioning happened in this 350 to 4 range. Okay. Cardi, we can hear you. Hello. Oh, sorry. There we go. Go ahead. Yeah, you're good. I'm just turning you up a bit.
So I think going beyond the charts, big thing this week was Martin saying that GPS doesn't have a mechanism for action. Like completely not accurate. To be honest, I'm surprised he said that because he's smart enough to know better. WT1 targeting. That's been a huge goal for years, and peptide mechanisms are well understood. So if he's coming from a position that there's no successes here, no other trials that failed, then yeah, I can understand his take somewhat. But I do remember that he went from, in his original stream, when he originally looked at SLS, he said, I'm leaning bearish, to this week on Twitter, he's like, oh, I'm very bearish. Like, the trial has done nothing but age during this time. The data's become, we're assuming the curves have become separated even more. So I think one of two things is happening here. Either he's on tilt after he had his loss, or he recognizes, as I do, that that zone that you're showing there, it could be pushed down from there. It's not very liquid, and if you know if you get his little army with him, he can kind of push that down easily. And we have a lot of new members who we're trending, so we don't have a lot of like diamond handers like we did back when we kept being at 117. They do an offering. We did the day at 117. You remember that?
I definitely remember that.
Yeah, like that was our core group supporting the bid, saying this shit's worth it, buying it, and now that we have we're constantly trending on stock, it's actually going to kind of work against us a little bit. And I want like the core community members who have been forever to not be dissuaded by this. We might see a retracement. It could very well just understand like the reasoning for like the increasing shortages when he says that, right? Because we have pumpers that are out there any day now. Q1, it's gonna fall, yada yada yada. Well, what happens in 2 or 3 weeks if we haven't halted? Like these people are gonna be like, oh, I should have been Uami or Ondas or whatever thing is gonna go parabolic in the next 2 weeks. So when those people leave, you have that cascading effect. So I think that's actually where he's coming from. I don't think that Martin actually believes that there's a mechanism of action. I think that he's realizing he understands how unlikely that the halt or them getting a buyout in the next 3 months are. Retail traders are going interest, and when a lot of them bail, this goes into the floor. That's as a short trader in bio, if you are a buzzard like he is, that's a good fucking earning right there. Like, and while I'd love for us to see a P1 halt and gap up on the news, it, I have the same angle that Martin does, and that is that nothing's going to happen for the next couple of months. The way we keep that with it. I think we could, you think about 0.0 as a near term value driver, maybe. But for me, SLS is on the back burner. I've got my share every time I have a win. I'm taking 5% of that one stock range. And I'm adding to SLS, but you know, have faith. Remember that this trial is averaging one death a month. We could be here next year. And I hate to say that, but that's where I'm at with that. And this is in the core bin. For all of us, it's just a solid little stump that we have, and anything that's happening from there is great.
Absolutely. And any kind of dip that happens, right? These would be the liquidity levels that I would really target, kind of below us, right? Where I would assume that we would go. Realistically, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for us to come back and test this value area high. Do I think that that's necessarily what's going to happen? No, I have no fucking clue, right? But I think that if you're looking at like potential downside, that this is pretty much it, right? And that's pretty limited, especially considering that we've been trading up as the broader markets have been in absolute turmoil. And that's what really makes me think that's almost what makes me think that somebody is in a little bit of trouble on the short end. We've seen increasing short interest, and I think a lot of it is honestly because we are in this more illiquid range, right? Like this is an area that we can honestly say we have not been in for 4 years. I will repeat, 4 years. So there is virtually nobody that's positioned here, right? Everyone is waiting to see, does it come back and dip? Can I buy, could I buy the dip? Is it going to keep flying and get even more upward momentum? We're at a really, really illiquid and critical pivot point here. It's the same thing as when we came down and we touched this, right? And we were testing down below this area. If you guys will remember, I posted and I said we are at like a really critical inflection point. And then I said it again right here. Well, we are at it again.
It's like one of those things where it's like a lot of people that this segment attracted is are people that are interested in the science aspect of this. And the stock aspect and the damn I gotta make money, this is all kind of like a secondary. You guys are just learning about this. And these channels, they are I'm not a chartist. I know fuck all about charting. The charts are awesome, right? Like we get caught in these ruts, and I just you'll hear me say that over and over. It's like, oh yeah, we're channel lock right now. Channel lock until a catalyst, and that's what you're looking at right there. We are outside of that channel. We can continue to rise. We can bring in liquidity. All those bars left, we have the $7, which but it's also very easy for us to drop down because the powers that be want to drop us down.
Well, and not only that, right? It's because when something is a liquid, generally it is because the order book cannot support what is happening. So the way for us to kind of reach equilibrium, right, where we are at a place where buyers and sellers are both happy, they're both transacting, is generally to come to a more liquid area. Sometimes, however, if the bullish imbalance persists and is continually strong, then this can just explode upwards. That's exactly what we saw here, right? We saw a break of the channel. We saw a small break of the channel here, right? And then we saw a break of this larger structure past these highs. And what happens when we pass those highs? We go from tiny little candles and lots of dojis into one big candle, lots of sideways trading, right? Lots of consolidation for 3 days. And then that God candle that shot us up. And then from there, we just went vertical, right? So a lot of it is about pressure. Okay, this is what I've always said, and I will continue to say it. When we are talking about swing trading and we are talking about investing in undervalued companies like SLS, it is about time and pressure. And those two things together can create explosive results. So now all we need to wait and see is that bullish pressure still here in the high fives? I guess we'll figure that out tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, the market mechanics of it are one thing. You've heard Father and I say multiple times that going to the weeklies kind of handicapped us a little bit.
The weekly's adding,
See in the end game.
yeah, the weekly's being added definitely kind of dampens the volatility like a lot. A lot. It gives a lot more hedging opportunities. Um, it's unfortunate that it's something that we have to deal with, but you know, we have to deal with it.
Well, I mean, and we knew we had to deal with it, and we pissed off a lot of people in the subreddit, and they don't want to believe that the charts matter, the market matters, or the votes matter. We knew, we saw the opportunity to move the floor up. We knew that it took a blitz. It took us like, guys, please share this, please share this. Like we did this thing, and you know, we have people 3 months on, they're still pissing and moaning, but their portfolio is worth 3 times what it was thanks to this move. This will happen again. It's not as easy for us to let it happen again. We are still monitoring these weeklies and things that out of balance that we could maybe. I mean, if everybody. I mean, I'm just saying. Everybody bought the exact same day.
Well, yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there, right? We'll definitely see what happens. It's harder to move right now. It's easier to move than it was yesterday. It's no longer at $1 billion valuation, but we have seen it rise from like 120 to 829 over the course of the last year. So I mean, there's been tremendous growth, right? Hey, SLS to 50 by the end of the year. I mean, shit. Okay, I'm there for it. We'll see what happens, but I'm there for it. Um, but yeah, I think that pretty much kind of sums up where we are with SLS, right? We're in a somewhat illiquid area, and kind of have to see what comes next.
So I was gonna say, like a lot of us have been distracted lately. There's so many different discords in our attention. Discord. Did anybody have any questions about SLS?
Nope, nope, no questions were posted. We're good to go. I think everyone's caught up on SLS.
Okay, so can we talk about our big play for the week?
Riley?
The next couple of the next 10 days, Riley. All right.
Oh my God, I have the chart. Whoa, crazy.
Weird. Okay, so you want to do it?
Yeah, yeah. You started off, brother.
Okay. Okay. So anybody have a pulse story last 2 years? Let me try to bring it up to speed. 2 years ago, Riley was trading north of 8. It was a highly profitable investment bank. We did a lot of restructuring. We made a lot of money running capital market deals. We advised on bankruptcies. They are fucking stellar at taking a bankrupt company and finding the value in it and saving jobs, honestly. Uh, they they're just a great restructuring firm, and they make a lot of money off of a huge portfolio of principal investments. Um, I have written before about Brian Riley, my take on him. To be honest, I like him. Brian Riley is the CEO. He founded it 40 years ago. He is a smart guy who unfortunately started playing a little too fucking loose because he was having nothing but successes. But we have done that too. I've blown up my portfolio before. Okay, so problems start when they became involved in financing a style franchise group. This is 2 years ago. That deal created a shit ton of leverage, complexity and policy, and people started questioning the structure of the transaction, the financial structure. Short sellers moved in. And then the short sellers found out that Bryant had pledged 90% of his share for personal loan. So that was like, that's like there's chum in the water, and then you throw a couple, you blow up a whaler. I don't know what the fuck. It's just like you attracted every fucking shark.
Yeah, yep.
Because you were one of them. The thing is like when a CEO backs who owns 30% of the company, backs 9% of his share to something that goes from being worth $80 to $3, the bank has every right to say, "Fuck you, sell those shares. We need some, we need our money." So during that time, Franchise Group couldn't restructure. So that was Vitamin Shop, that was Pesticide Plus, Con, 2 other companies. They couldn't restructure, and the Franchise Group fell apart. And it was like basically within a 18-month period, they spent $2 billion to purchase it. $600 million of that came directly from RILY. $1.2 billion from other investors, to being completely bankrupt and being liquidated. And when that happened, the company fell behind on its quarterly filings, and its annual filing. And so since then, the company has been slowly stabilizing things. Debt's been hugely reduced. Debt was like, I want to say 1.8 billion when I started playing this. It's about 1.2 billion, but realistically, only about we got 600 million of operational debt that we don't actually really know. And on top of that, they carved out their wealth and brokerage business into what's called RILY Securities. They have like 96% ownership of that, and they're getting a dividend on that. If you look back at the last 4 quarters of results, it was like they went from a negative $10 EPS to a negative $2 EPS or something. I'm not looking to like $4, $5. They're showing a profit again. Now what we have is a 10K that is due by Monday. We know that we saw strong capital market activity in the recent quarter, and some of their equity exposures. They own a shit ton of ATLD, which you guys probably know as stock. They own 25% of BW. They bought BW at around 50 cents a share, I believe. Don't quote me on that. It's about 14.50.
Just to show you guys what the investment that they made in BW and where they ended up buying, I believe that it was this area right here where they took their position.
Yeah. So, I will post, actually, that. So our idea basically is that before we're good, and what's going to happen is we're hoping by Monday. Okay. So this is kind of like we are playing short term and long term on this. If you are playing this with options, you do not want any strikes before mid-April. All right, because the whole narrative has been this company is upside down. They can't file their reports, and there is a chance that on Monday they're going to file a 15-day extension to get their annual out. They're fucking murder us. But
If they ended up doing that, I suspect that we would come right back into this area of support and potentially just like down in here. I'd really be surprised if we went below 6. Just throwing that out there.
yeah, so right now the debate isn't really whether or not they're going to make it. We know they're going to make it. We want them to file their filings on time. We want audited filing on time, which I believe is the last holdup for the market at large to buy back in. We're looking at 25% short interest when you have a company that is 40% held by insiders, 30% held by institutions. These numbers don't work. There is a huge short squeeze potential here. I don't like playing short squeezes. I like playing fundamentals. The company is currently valued at $300 million. They have $300 million worth of VW stock. They have $100 million worth of APLD stock. They have $100 million DDI. They have a capital investment firm that is worth $200 million. They have oil fields in California. They have ADBE, RILY, Scotch and soda. They have, like I can keep going on and on about what they have. This company is completely undervalued right now. And so I am playing near-term options around the time catalyst, like I said, middle of April, hoping to see a sharp repricing in the stock because they usually disappear. Longer term, I'm thinking about the company more about valuation, finding something that wants to stabilize the underlying business. BRS continue to grow. I think it's still back in the 30s. I mean, we kind of priced it at 30s and 40s.
Yeah. So I was about to say what I suspect will happen is that we will get like a series of sharp moves, okay, during the repricing. I don't think that it'll necessarily all happen at once, but I do think that us going up to somewhere around 14, 16, I mean, that's really not out of the question. I don't think that we're going to have one big swift move up back towards the 30s and 40s. But yeah, when you're comparing this business with its peers, right? So that is businesses that are in the same sector, businesses of a very similar market cap. You would end up valuing this if it was valuated in the same way, right at about $35 to $40, somewhere in that range. So it doesn't really matter if you're looking at it from a point of view of like forward revenue growth or just basically a sum of the parts and not including any growth. It's undervalued by literally every single metric. Every single metric that you can think of, this company is undervalued. So you kind of have a really rare opportunity to be part of a value play. Really kind of still at the start. I mean, we were banging the table on it down here at what was it, like 350 to 4, and it should say something if it's gone up 100%, actually like 120%, and we're still talking about it, saying that it's undervalued, right?
I want to really quick, like I said, I don't really like the short squeeze aspect of it. It's very real. And from a meme stock perspective, though, like
This has it all.
why Kitty loved GameStop wasn't the short squeeze factor. It was about the fundamentals. You look at this setup. I hate when people say, "Oh, this is the next GameStop." It's not the next GameStop. We're not that oversold, but the fundamentals are the same.
I'd say the fundamentals are way better than GameStop's were.
Well, yeah, but
But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely. This is a fundamental value play, right? This is quite literally deep fucking value.
if you guys are following me on this, following us on this, I am 50-50 shares. The long-term repricing, requires people buying in fully. People who want to be here for this upward trend. And there is going to be, if this plays out like we think it's going to play out, there's going to be like a sharp little, a sharp jump and then a run. But you don't want to be buying cover options just hold the shares because the premiums on Riley. There's been a lot of people who followed us on this, and they're just like, "Wow, my premiums went away." Like they evaporate quicker than any other stock that's on the market right now.
Well, yeah, we also have this weird thing where where a lot of other stocks have relatively stable and predictable implied volatility. That's not the case with Riley. Riley is like long periods of low volume, low volatility, punctuated by a massive window of increased volatility where the price begins to climb or descend really, really quickly. Like you could just look at the chart. It did fuck all for months. It did fuck all for 3 months. And then what happened? Boom, jumps from a low of 288 all the way up to a high of 658. Yeah, I remember you catching that one. The, the place where Cardi and I met was me shorting here. Anyways, let's move on to Sing. There's a lot of good stuff about Sing.
So, for those who don't know, we have new people. They're a reformulation company, reformulation bioprocess. They basically take a existing drug, in this case that's Oakland, and you make it better. Usually by changing up its delivery. Eton, Polypid, those same types of companies. I'm not going to talk about Eton, but only right now about that. Uh, but I will talk about Polypid. That Polypid is on it. So see, big stuff coming up. We're expecting them to get a patent decision here in the very near future. Bob couldn't join us tonight, but he's been like, he's always tracking all of these things. And that's his baby. He was noticing the other day they had done a phone call with the company, the patent office had, and the last time this happened, there was a PR that came quick on the team. The prior patent decision raised the floor. Actually, I don't know if they shot from like 6 to 26 or something. I'm not sure that that's what we're going to see here, but at this point, that patent decision is coming, and that PDUFA is like right behind. And I think we need to be focused on the PDUFA because the FDA is pushing for faster drug approvals, and right now they're giving themselves little gold stars every time they push one out early. So think about it. CING drug is local. Someone's already approved. I think the data's well documented. It's a layup for the FDA. They get a low risk approval after their basket of, hey, look at us, we're doing this, we're so much better. We modeled this one a lot. I think it has some ceiling issues with the licensing aspect, but that only really affects the sky valuation. There's a reason why this ticker is in the majority of our top five. Like, I think out of 80 of us and the other 70 of us, this is a top five pick. I think we all expect success and for this to be a multi-bagger this year. But that PDUFA, that's really the question is, are they going to, if they decide they're going to push it out a month early, that's 6 weeks from now. And I think that they want to at least even be able to be like, yeah, look at us. We pushed it out another one early. They want to be able to claim things that often,
And not only that, but one thing to recognize is that this drug, right, that they are revolutionizing the delivery system for, it is specifically for ADD and ADHD. Now, it is not only going to be able to be used there, but that is right now the trial that they are going through, or rather the approval decision that they're waiting on for the trial. So ADD and ADHD right now, you take some kind of amphetamine and it generally hits your system all at once, and there is a really, really bad crash afterwards, right? It is it is a class of drugs that, while being a really strong stimulant and working wonders, um, it has to be delivered slowly. And that delivery, that slow, measured delivery, is what Sing has been working on. So the total addressable market for ADD and ADHD worldwide is in the billions. If this company can even find a 5% market share, okay, a 5% market share, and realistically, I'm telling you, this is being conservative. I am lowballing it like crazy. A 5% market share could see this company quadrupled in value.
You know, the CEO is obviously a little bit silly, but he said
Yeah.
um, and this is the team. We've talked about this one. I don't know how well versed our people are uh, on this one. I assume that everybody that's in this chat tonight knows this product because we've been banging this table for a year. So I'm also trying to catch up on chat.
Oh, I get it, dude. We didn't say meth. We said amphetamine, not methamphetamine. Okay, those are different things. One of them comes in little crystals, and the other one you give to your hyper child. Yeah, like Ritalin, that kind of stuff. Vyvanse, right?
So I think Bob Bob's pretty convincing, and I think it's also it's always a pitfall with bio investors because we always think it's going to come early. But I think in this case, as we look at this, as we look at polyfit, these things that they can kind of pat themselves on the back for, that you're just like, hey, it's fucking Pokemon. Of course you can, you know.
But it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter because these companies, if they have the patents and they are the ones that are approved, then they can literally make money because the FDA wants to pat themselves on the back for an easy approval. And that's fine because if they can make money, then we can make money off of it too.
The question is, what patent is it granted? They have other patents, and we already got the same patent. This patent is basically just a continuation of it. Um, we're not that honestly. The fact that it is kind of like this will just kind of lock down some exclusivity that could actually make the move off the patent not as big. That's why I see the move as big as the previous one was. Um, this company's already changed that.
Yeah, looking very solid. What's up next?
Yeah. I'll do a quick little talk on lasagna.
Let's do it.
They had a call today, and so lasagna. That's polypid. Ticker's PYPD. I've written a DD on it. I'm gonna really quick put a link on StockTwit. Go to my.
So
Okay.
there's Oh, I was going to say, just by the way, looking at this chart, you are seeing that gradual repricing happen right now in real time, right? Since summer of last year, this is kind of you could usually expect to see, of a company that's kind of in this situation, which Cardi's about to explain, right? Where you get a big launch up, lots of accumulation, you get some spikes up. This helps draw in liquidity. Everyone gets excited. Oh my God, it's going to the moon. They slam it back down. You get all these wicks to draw in the liquidity, where they're basically taking out the sell side, and they're also shaking out all of the people that bought in up here, and suddenly you're down 25, 30% and just fucking crying, right? And all of that generates liquidity in the way that you attract the buyers with this, right? You shake them all out, attract them again, shake them all out. Well, what does that do? That gets capital flowing into the system, right? So this pattern is very common when you're seeing something being structurally repriced, where you kind of see like these stair steps up, right? You see what I'm talking about? And if you look at where we are right now, we're literally hovering at the point where the most shares have been traded. Pushing over that point of control, that's a really big deal from a chartist perspective, you guys. Sorry, go ahead, Cardi.
I think we have some very near-term catalysts. First, they said they expected to be submitted to the FDA by the end of Q1. Got 2.5 weeks left. They also talked about having a partnership with us. Given that the FDA submissions, they're expensive, they're intensive. I don't know if they got a partner in place in time to do the FDA submission with. I would love to see that, but if there was a partnership announcement, that could be beyond that. So I wrote about them in my BD, and then the company reached out to me, and I had a great call with the CFO, who was deflexive. I started nerding out the oncology program and the reducing toxicity of existing drugs. So the way that polypid works is basically a paste put into the body. The paste has an uber extended release, right? Instead of releasing over like the course of a day, it releases over the course of 30 days. So in the case that they're using it in, they're using it in surgeries, they're putting doxycycline in, and so the body is locally absorbing doxycycline with what's going on. So now I want everybody to kind of think about all the different oncology drugs which are toxic. If they are able to use these drugs and use their deflex system with these drugs and put that drug that is normally awful for the human body at a lower dose directly where it's necessary, it might, the thesis is it could lower systemic toxicity and have better results for the patient. And you would be surprised how many drugs we have on the market which are, this will save you, but it will kill you. Cancer is a lot of those.
I was about to say chemotherapy is very, very rough on the body in general. I mean, in order to save you, they have to slowly kill parts of you. So, it is what it is.
And we got to a hard stop. So what you had earlier about like, can we schedule a call with the CFO? That's what my goal is right now. I'm hoping to get them on another call that you guys can also go on. If we get, if we get the people in that are subscribing and attending these calls, this actually enables us to have more options going forward. It is cool that I actually have several CEOs that I've talked to now that are all interested in doing these calls. If you ever go to like one of the JPM interviews on YouTube and stuff, you'll see that something has like 20 or 30 views. If we start showing these videos and get the word out about these videos and people start seeing, oh wow, this is getting 1,000 views, 2,000 views, that's going to open up the door for us to have more and more of these interviews, and in turn help us become traders that are slightly ahead of the curve. Anyways, today, Polypid, they had a call. It was one of those things. But Deekla, the CEO, he was talking about the GLP-1 program. And so, yeah, we've got this antibiotic. Yeah, we've got this on the oncology side. Today, she's talking about, and they are preclinical in this, the GLP-1 is seen to stay in the body like twice as long as the shots currently are. With that one, that ticker does have options. If you guys are getting into this one, just avoid those. I have a couple, but that was actually just for me to keep an eye on the liquidity. Like I kind of just, yeah, there's no liquidity there. There's no
It's going to be impossible to exit with any kind of size. Like I am literally all shares on this thing. I'm not even fucking with options on Polypid.
I think, I kind of just got it. And I kind of want just, for the people that are here, we have people from different groups. I want to take a second to talk about, like, how different people in this group approach the market. I am a long-term thesis-driven investment person. I will sit there and say, I see something that has potential. Right now, I'm looking at things in 2027. And I will spend a lot of time, something like years, thinking of fundamentals and how data balance management teams. I'm watching. I'm one of those nerds that actually is paying attention to the LinkedIn trades. And that doesn't mean that every dollar in my portfolio is sitting there doing nothing all the things. There's a lot of value in dedicating a portion of your portfolio to shorter term trades, momentum setups, catalysts. These are things like Father does every single day. Baba, Paul, I think they're both here on the call. They both are identifying these things. The reason isn't just profit though. These trades are learning exercises. They force you to steady price action, liquidity, sentiment, how narratives move through the market, and you start understanding how other traders think. And that kind of keeps the market fun because, we're in a new era of trading where, suddenly we have all this access on our phone that's with us all the time, this real-time market data. And so, we're all staring at our phone way too fucking much. But if you're doing that for like these long-term trades, you're going to spend a lot of time staring at the screen and doing nothing. So, tonight, we got the stream. It's going on Father's channel. You're new here. This is what he does every single day. He spends a lot of his time, teaching traders how the market works mechanically. Not just lines on the chart, but why the price moves and where the liquidity sits and how the momentum builds. And, for how for you guys to navigate those movements. And so he's also teaching technical analysis. You're doing futures trading, day trading, all these things. This is like, this is a lot of stuff, a lot of value to the community as we're kind of doing these things. And like we kind of keep pushing over and over and over again. The point of us being here, the reason that we're having these conversations, the reason that this Discord exists in the first place, this is not telling you what stocks to buy. This is about teaching you why we see these things, how you can identify those things, and how you can tell us that you have identified these things, because this rising tide, it raises all ships. So I think, getting back to Father, you got this, he's spending his day doing this mentorship thing. I'm sorry to talk about you for a bit, but I think, you put this together. I think you could have a little bit of a call out for this. He's got a decade of doing this. He's working directly with traders, helping, like, one-on-one, helping them develop the psychology, discipline, do this. And he's doing this inside of Discord. So he's doing it free for everybody on the stream. This isn't free for him. Like, pretty cool opportunity if you're trying to learn what conversations are happening in the back rooms and all these little side things that exist. But, if you're new here, we're glad to have you. There's a lot of experience in this room, and that's what we really work with. We dig in, we share, to challenge each other. And if you're looking for that edge, talk to Father. Maybe consider joining his Discord, especially, on the trade side. Like I said, the shit ain't free. Because, you guys will buy a fucking $50 hit or buy 1 day expiration and lose it. But, like, $50 or whatever it is he's charging a month, you get access to all these charts and everything. It's a better way to spend that 50. give back to the person who's literally on here every day for you guys.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that.
I'm gonna move on. IOBAN.
Which one are we doing?
IOBAN. Pretty quick one.
Mm-hmm.
So I called this one out at 16. It's still could have played out how we thought it would. We kind of just interesting for everybody. Continually bullish on it. I think the TIL therapy is only going to grow. Share price appreciation over the next 6 weeks or so is going to stagnate. So originally I was in those short-term calls for the before call that we had coming up and leaps. Those are stupid cheap. I mean, price was sitting at $2.50 and you were able to buy $2 calls at 30 cents or something. You've seen the IB spike. You know, those are. It's going to get up. Is what I'm trying to say. If I'm in the last week, I unwound all my options. I'm sure that only now. If the pullback gets to ridiculous levels, I'm going to re-enter some leaps. Fucking sub 4 there. I'll start putting $5. Yeah, I think that's all I really want to say about IOBA.
So I do just want to point out, right? You know how we were talking about those big areas that have almost no liquidity in them, right? You know how we were talking about how price can get explosive. So this is a prime example of that price explosion, right? A little bit of an order imbalance here. We kind of tested it a few times. What was this? February 23rd. It ended up selling back down. It ended up only up 2 cents on the day after all of that. And boom, then you had a massive 40-cent move. And that has absolutely continued. And this is gone over double, right? From where he was talking about it. And it's when, again, right, when you have a lack of liquidity where the order book cannot support the transactions that are taking place, that's where you get this big gap. So when I'm always looking at the volume profile and I'm drawing out all those lines, this is the reason that I'm doing it, because I want to identify those areas that would likely react as resistance or react as support, or where there are big gaps in liquidity where you can see this huge explosion in price. So this was just a really good example of that. That concept that we were talking about a little bit earlier.
The unfortunate part about it is, as much as these things can happen like that, the shorts love this, and there's no news coming.
I would expect this to come back down into this area, like the high threes, like 380, 358, probably somewhere in this area. Yeah.
Once we got low 4, I'm back.
Yeah, and that should make the calls a lot cheaper too. So
IBRX. Everybody's talking about IBRX.
oh geez.
Yeah. So those of you who have followed me, talked to me for a long time, you know they got bags on it. Pretty good.
Yeah.
But you know, like this run up, you know, it bailed me out on that. But when I got into IBRX, what was I think we were dealing with about a 400 million share float. The share float is over $1 billion, and PSS doesn't seem to be interested in cost-cutting measures. Like, we can't argue that Activa works. We know the drug makes Keytruda, you know, double as effective as it is on its own. But as an investor, that, you know, I want to be at an inflection point, and seeing that Patrick's just going to create any new trial and further dilute, we can't do this anymore. I won't be in it. Because, you know, he bought his own offering. We were all, you know, we had kind of come down. We had found what we thought was the floor. We were sitting at stick. We thought, okay, we just need to start seeing some sales come in. And instead, we got an offering for 200 million shares or whatever the fuck it was at $3 a share while the stock was sitting at $6. And he's the one, the CEO is the one who bought it. And it's like, that's the CEO who is, you know,
That's scummy as fuck.
I was gonna say, it's like, I mean, you should run a
Fuck.
Yeah. Toxic financing calls coming from inside the building. Uh, yeah. So I just have a lot of fear for people that are in it now. Like, I Reddit is constantly suggesting that I read these posts from the IDRX people, and it's like I'm in at 12. I think it's a steal at this price, and it's like, okay, well, steal at 6. You know, and these people, they're not going to be green unless the market cap is 15 billion. And the sales just aren't there. I know a lot of people that are in here in this group. Um, a lot of people were like, "Do we play IVRX?" You're free to. I mean, I might buy a small amount of bets, but um, I won't short it because if he pulls this off, the squeeze will be insane. I mean, there is that. Like, if he pulls this off, like, you're going way outside the lines on like what is possible. But if you're gonna play this, I say 2020 fall, summer 26. That's all I have to say about that.
Next up, which one do we want to do? Adobe?
You're on Adobe.
All right, let's do Adobe. So, Adobe has sold off recently, and pretty much all software has sold off recently. But Adobe's been hit pretty hard. So, I think that when you're looking at something like Adobe, what you have to realize is that it's not just Photoshop, right? It's not just Photoshop. It's not just viewing PDFs. I think that there is some serious value here, and they have an earnings report in the next 2 days. Regardless of direction, I think that a move is coming. And I think that, personally, and Cardi, you could also give your take on this. I think that this is a great spot to straddle. I think that this is a great spot to rather than necessarily take a direction, right? I mean, I would probably have a little bit of a bullish bias, right? I might be a little bit more heavy on the long side rather than the short side here. Um, but but I think that this is a great place to just bet that movement will happen, right? Long the volatility. I think that this is oversold. I think that this is overdone. I think that if you look at their revenue historically, like it's just been scaling really well. They have a really high margin because they're a software company, right? Like I mean, look at these metrics. Look at that increase in revenue and the increase in net margin, right, from 24 to 25. Like, does this look like a struggling business with revenue literally creating a parabolic curve? I don't think so. I don't think so, right? I think that there are a lot of concerns that AI is going to replace this, but I mean, I don't really see that happening, right? I don't see that happening, and I think that that narrative is a little bit far fetched, right? Remember when they were saying the same thing about IBM, right? Like that the sell-off's been ridiculous. I think that this is going to come right back up here, to be honest with you, to this like 355 area. And that's that's a lot cuz it's at 275 right now. Yeah. Yeah, I think that this is coming right back up. So, no? Yeah. Well, glad to put it on your radar because this is one that I've been watching. I've also been watching Apple quite a bit. But yeah. Okay, so Figma was like the Wall Street Bet's darling last summer when it IPO'd. I do know a bit about Figma. So this was like the Wall Street Bets darling on IPO, and everyone was super excited to long it. And if you longed it on that first day and got out that second day, you probably did great. However, this business is valued at $15 billion, and they barely make any fucking money. We're talking about 8 cents per share. Okay, 10 cents per share, 9 cents per share. There's not even income, right? Like they don't actually make money yet. So you're talking about valuing a business at $15 billion for like narrow design, right? Online, like user experience design, and visual design, and I mean like just general like photo stuff. Like I don't know. I don't see a $15 billion business here. Okay. If anything, what I see is maybe a $1 or a $2 billion business. So for me personally, I I am not a Figma believer at this price. I think that they do have a good business. I have worked with their product a bit. I have a friend who is a user experience designer, and he loves it. Yeah, it's all UI and UX. So it's again, it's really like good software. It's intuitive to use, but can their current business that lost $1 billion last year be valued at 15 billion reasonably? I, I think that that's far fetched, right? So for me personally, I am not interested in Figma at this price. Yeah, I'm not interested at this moment. Like there's a reason that they IPO'd at 85 and it's at 28. Yeah, that's a great question. What did you see, Hannah? Yeah, we could always come back. We could always come back. Yeah.
Bob and I actually kind of we're a little conflicted on this one. That we're not going to dig into it too much, but I kind of wanted to put this one out there for the community, um, for us to kind of be looking at it because the company wants to say we have this at-home option, basically going to work like the EpiPen to stop psychotic episodes, for infant caregivers to give to their patients. We don't know. Everything is screaming, don't buy this stock. The market, like, the funds are against it. A lot of people are saying they won't change the approval because of the blood pressure risk, like giving it to people at home. So I actually this is not really about like how I'm playing it. It's actually kind of like asking the community at large kind of keep this on their radar and to kind of dig into it. I feel like there is a working thesis here. I haven't found it.
I feel like they're going to need to raise some more funds to get over the finish line, and I don't know realistically how they do that, other than through like warrants or convertible bonds, right? Which either one, the warrants aren't necessarily a bad deal for them, but convertible bonds would just bleed this company out slowly, because they can't really offer right at $1.55. Like you can't offer at $1.55 because unless you already have a buyer lined up, you are going to go sub one on that offering. And the second that you're sub one, you start getting delisting notices from Nasdaq. So in order to stay listed and be able to continue to sip at capital markets, these guys have got to figure something out. And again, like I don't know what that solution is.
We know they submitted to the FDA for the approval. They did a small offering today. I think I pumped it today. Yeah, guys, I'm looking for some.
Oh yeah, 8 million registered direct offering. But just as a comparison, so they raised 8 million, and last quarter they burned 31 million.
Yeah, they're trying to keep the lights on.
I don't feel good about it.
I don't. I honestly, at the same time, it's like I don't like the thought of like this has been one of which Bob and I have like we don't yes, no, yes. Okay. Uh, but like as I'm talking about these things about like these backroom conversations that happen. I think I should tell the story of Anna that some of the people in idea will miss.
Yeah.
What happened over the past week?
What a fucking story.
Yeah. Bob identified the chart. Can you pull up the end chart? Or you already have it?
What's up?
So Anna went from being a speculative play. They are a Italian natural gas company. Let's go further back. And they were founded by a bunch of old oil execs that wanted to build this. Sorry, I should have this by saying this is our speculation. We've heard rumors, but the whole idea of this was a company that we can sell out to them. And Bob saw the chart, and you can see where earlier in the history of the company, it was a speculative play, like how big will this company get, what is the going to be, what is the going to produce, and then we get to the bottom, and that's what the discovery where they have an actual operating field, and they are at the end of the market saying, okay, you're worth $2.50. And at that point, they gave no more speculative value to this. However, the company still does have a speculative value because they only own 33% of the field in which they are currently operating, but they have a lease for a larger field in which they have 100% of the rights to. So, Bob bought this. We talk about it a little bit. We kind of try to buy a couple pieces of it, and think just us like at the end of the day being like, oh yeah, let's start building this and put this on our watch list, like you would price, and it kind of like got a little scary to be honest because it's like the price was moving up in a way which was like us just trickle working other because it was like we were basically raising the price up, but there was no liquidity for us to get out. And so this is like, it got a little like, oh God, what have we done for a moment? And then the U.S. bombed Iran. And why this guy got PFP?
He's making fun of your profile picture. He doesn't know who Blanche is.
Yeah. So, at that point, this is one of those things where it's like, we got a little lucky. A lot of you guys followed us as far as why we jumped out, even while this war was going on. There was not a lot of liquidity, and we saw that the insiders were selling it. And if they hadn't, it would have been very, very lucrative for us. But, it's just what happens, like these are the type of things where, unfortunately, I know a lot of you guys, we will talk about something and you guys aren't on your phones. It's actually kind of the danger of these situations where the market is dynamic and we recognize that something is happening and it's like we want to get out, but, there's
The situation, especially when you're looking at like small companies like this, the situation changes like instantly, right? So for instance, with this candle, right? This is where it got called out for everyone. Was like from this area to about halfway up this candle. Okay, that's where it got called out. It was a breakout. It was looking really good, and then the next day, insiders sold into us. And then it got picked up back, right? Again, because news of the Iran war hit. And then you got these big, massive draws on liquidity to the downside, a doji showing indecision, a massive doji showing indecision. And, unfortunately, it's fallen off basically with oil. Um, but, you know, this one was literally changing every day where we were waking up and talking and we're like, what the fuck is happening today? Like, oh my God, we're up 20% in pre-market on like abnormally high value volume. What's going on? And then we would just, right before open, go right back down to even and sell off. So we were kind of like, what the fuck is happening here with this one? And the insiders kind of fucked us up and added a bunch of liquidity right here, which allowed the short sellers to borrow a lot and basically suppress the price discovery. So unfortunately, I think that I think that this one kind of stalled out a little bit for now, but I think that there's a lot of potential value here still. I'm still holding some.
A lot of people have an iron grip on it. This moved off the market makers to liquidity, and some people selling Florida, and I mean, this could have been a really great place. But moreover, the point of it would be, those of you who are in the Discord and you can just call up and say, start looking at the historical volumes and whatnot, and judge your ability to watch the market and make sure that what is happening, especially with these tight windows, saying that you're able to make these decisions and you're able to get out when you need to get out, because we have to make those decisions for ourselves as well. And if you're the person who's only checking in, once every 3 days, maybe don't follow us on these day trade ideas.
Yeah, and want to make sure that obviously you guys are keeping yourself safe first and foremost, right? Want to make sure that you guys are keeping yourselves nice and safe.
Yeah, I mean, it is our nature that we are trying to both educate but also protect everybody here. So, with that said, Pete, Pete is the second worst earnings call that I've listened to this year.
Holy shit, I know.
There is, for a company that's in ad space, they sure as fuck don't know how to start.
Well, see, the thing is I don't know that I would necessarily call them ad space, right? Like they're ad adjacent, but at the end of the day, they're a software company, right? Like it's all algorithmic. So, but yeah, man, that guy during the I think it was the CEO, right? That dude, he's just awful, awful. Like I wish he just shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
There,
The CFO would take over a little bit after we talked about the CEO was like, well, what we're trying to accumulate is vertical up synergies with the, and you're like, what? No, just
talk like a fucking person, dude. Be straight up.
talk like a fucking person, because okay. But anyways, regardless of that, Pete is our thesis on this actually states, and actually they said everything that we needed to hear in that call. Um, so their timeline was a little bit further pushed out, and has unfortunately on that call what they said was, we're not going to see growth again until Q4, and like their capacity to triple their own dicks on that call, I mean, it's unmatched. I mean, it would be unmatched, but I listened to the end of this call, which was actually the worst. Um, so, for those of you who are following us on the Pet Rock, um, we are still very, very strongly believing in them. I wish they would hire somebody to handle their calls going forward, but they basically said that our money is better held elsewhere for the next couple of months. If you're not paying attention to anything on all of you, we're giving you a lot of other places to put that money right now. So, speaking of that, LiDAR, wait, is Barb going to get on the mic and see
If you would like to. Barbara, I'll hop in. This is our photonics guy. And yes, I have a guy for basically about everything.
I am going to talk about.
All right, perfect. Let's get Barb up here. You just got invited to speak. Go ahead and jump up on the stage. I got a LWLG up for you if you want to start there, and then we could move to Poet. Yep. Barb, you good? I can only invite you to speak. You got to come up on the stage yourself, though. There should be like a little button, I think up at the top right, where it says you're invited to speak. There we go. Welcome to the stage, Barb. Hello.
An organic polymer that could potentially become ubiquitous in replacing silicone for photonics chips.
And that is absolutely a big deal, right? That is absolutely a big deal. Just because those photonics chips are going to be used more heavily as we move forward, right? Think about what is the best way to transmit data? Like, what is the max speed that we can observe in the universe, right? It's the speed of light. So this is literally data transmission at the speed of light with light, right? That's the photonics area. It's not necessarily just that, but that is like one of the main use cases for it right now. Um, and having a more energy efficient organic polymer is a really big deal.
Discussed this stuff a number of times now, but the bottleneck data centers and AI in general right now being the amount of energy required to run these massive server farms. The, the heat required, and then the amount of data that can be transferred, and the speed efficiently transferred. Again, this is not my wheelhouse, so I'm just regurgitating what I've read. My bandwidth for due diligence is not great.
You're good, buddy.
But it looks good enough. But I would encourage anybody to obviously do their own due diligence. One thing I love about LWLG and the other thing we discussed already, they both seem to have pretty extensive patent standing at over 70 patents each. One of the things I liked about LWLG is their US based manufacturing space there as well.
Yeah. And that's strong, especially given given the current political climate, right? So that one really seems like a no-brainer. I definitely agree with your thesis on that, right? I think that at some point photonics are going to just be the standard. I mean, we've seen the price appreciation in Poet as we see speculation just pure speculation about the adoption, right? These guys aren't actually making any money yet, but we can speculate, right, on what that adoption rate is going to be. And it looks like, I mean, I don't know, if you zoom out a little bit, it looks like since the beginning of 2024 that people have been generally pretty bullish on it. I think that's a pretty clear trend up. So
Yeah, I think they will continue as well. So, like, kind of my thought on both of these is ever since I started involved with SLS, everything's popped up. But my my thesis there is the race to AGI or super intelligence. So this thing can be whatever ends up being, whatever you want to call it, is the Manhattan Project of our time. And we got to get there before China. And that I don't know if we will.
I think that photonics in that race plays a really critical role, right? When we're talking about uh, much faster, more energy efficient data transmission, right? I mean, those are all of the things that are currently kind of handicapping those larger AI models at the moment, right? Is that they're not efficient to use. They use up a ton of energy. They're super bad for the environment. I mean, your traditional hardware gets so hot that hell, we had, I think it was like 2 or 3 months ago, there was a meltdown at CME, and all futures trading was offline for like half of a day because it was literally like 140 degrees inside of their warehouse in the middle of the fucking winter. So
First of all, you said Alabajochi at Colorado. Poet is Malaysia, correct?
Their production. Yes.
So when you talk about, is there any risk with Malaysian companies like being nationalized or anything like that? You're not dealing with that as we would on other Asian countries, correct? That's the stupid, but you were talking about the buyout, right? And the, where was it? Sorry, I should focus on the ignore me for a second.
okay, perfect. We will do that.
Back to my bio. So Hewlett Packard, that's race to quantum computing. If somebody like Alvin has technology that is the best mousetrap, one of these companies like an HP or what's the quantum company?
I asked you.
IRQ. So it's been a long day. Thanks. They're going to spend 10 billion in 5 years. Yeah, I quote that when I first started looking at it. It was, market cap was 100 million. I was buying it at $3. Started buying a shit ton of calls.
I remember that. I remember that during the tariffs.
Yeah, Poet might be like they have a conference next week. They're going to be talking about photon beams and laser beams. These aren't new. They've been in development, but it sounds like they're ready to unleash them. What's called Blazar, whether it's Starlight. Again, I don't know anything about it, but um, what I've seen in the past is they have a conference,
Yeah, absolutely.
I do remember, I got the gist of what it was. So, Poet is the Malaysian manufacturer. Uh, is that Foxconn that manufactures the video?
I don't know. I was
Okay.
I was under the impression that they were leasing manufacturing plants themselves, and they had been Mitsubishi that was their manufacturing partner.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Because like I had previously been involved in a company that was based out of Indonesia, and all of that work was inside a one of these leased warehouses. And what happened was the country Indonesia basically foreclosed on the company and basically took all of the app stuff and then just like resold it. And that's what I mean by like that happened to me overnight. It's like, oh, okay, so I don't ever want to invest in somebody who doesn't own their own app, but at the same time, it's like, Foxconn, Macron, these companies, they're the majority of a lot of these smaller companies are being manufactured by.
Absolutely.
Until it makes me really uncomfortable. I don't love they love to dilute and sugar, making a lot of money to develop this, and perhaps ways on Starlink lasers coming online, put them, no pun intended, light years ahead of the competition. So there's also swirling rumor that NVIDIA is going to be using their stuff. What, 4 billion to Comer and somebody else, and Poet's partnered with Comer. I like for me, Poet. I made money on it, holding on to 500 comments. If SLS, when SLS and CING would be a millionaire, I don't buy a shit ton of it.
I think that's the play. I don't feel like holding the comments myself. I think it's almost like how it was. You were playing the gallery, have the comments, have the calls, have the clicks. But the other one more. More the other one.
Poet has a real nice run up into this conference. See what happens with it. I'm probably going to swap this out to Zelda. She just got serious beat down on that earnings call. But I really like that idea too. But, you know, shit gets wiped out. And this is why I always spend so much effort on it's spinning too many plates as it is already. But you can think that you got it right every angle covered. And something comes out of really out of left field. I mean, fuck, China clear next week. You got these
And even if it's and even if it's not true. Yeah, I was about to say, do you guys remember DeepSeek? How DeepSeek was going to unseat our entire economy, and then people used DeepSeek, and they were like, "Yeah, what?" Like, so we've been down this fucking road before, okay? With the China advancing in tech fears, like it's whatever. Yeah, yeah,
I mean, speaking of several of those things, I'm gonna move into lighter. Uh,
got oust for you.
you got asked out.
my opinion.
Okay, will do.
Invest has has a ton of short interest. They just bought out the asset. They have functional, probably, if I'm being honest, like their prototypes are the best LiDAR out there, and they're an absolute dumpster fire of a company. They went bankrupt probably this year, like that's what happened. Uh, their assets will go into auction, and this is NBIS.
Yes.
It was a meme stock back in 2020. Short squeeze, because of that short squeeze, it still has like this rampant base that will continue to try to push these little micro pumps. It sucks because like it is very possible that this company can turn it around this year. And so if you're looking right now, I think it's trading 50 cents. So you have to assume that the reverse good is. And but if they don't do a reverse split, they actually try to turn it around on fundamentals. Those dollar calls are they're a bag of chips right now. I think they're like 50 cents or something. That could possibly be a play. It should be on some of you. Some of you are a little bit riskier. You might want to look at that. I considered it. I the problem is that LiDAR is the future. It just is.
I'll be right back. Just a moment.
Yeah. So LiDAR is going to be in automation. It's going to be in all of our factories. It's going to be in humanoid robotics. It's in drones. It's in traffic lights. It's going to be in every single one of our cars. It is, Tesla. Elon famously with like LiDAR is like too expensive. It won't be adopted. I'm going to opt for just cameras, and it's not accurate. Like cameras just have way many limitations, whereas you know, the move to LiDAR will happen. Now, if you have been investing in LiDAR over the past 5 years or whatever, only two companies have done well. That's Ouster and HSAI. I'm a big fan of Ouster. I think everybody who wants to have a little bit of faith in the tech sector should listen to just the Q&A section of the last Ouster earnings call. Their CEO, Angus Portala, is, you can tell when he gets giddy. You can tell, and that's kind of like hearing a CEO who's not just passionate about the product for the sake of making a profit, making, the expected revenue. Hearing somebody who's actually excited about it for the sake of what it means for society as a whole, it gets you ready to just run through a wall for him. He's kind of a nerd. You can hear sometimes that he just like somebody will throw him an offhand question. And he's just like, "Oh, let me tell you about the future of humanoid robotics in 2050." We turn this, you hear all of us people on the call like, "Angus, sit down." That's all he's asking. He's excitable, and he's really great CEO. So my play on Ouster over the next year is chairs and REITs, and they are. I think they're going back to 40. I think they're going back to 40 very soon. Specifically because of how much money we spent on this war. All of this, there's a huge backlog now in the defense era for drones that have LiDAR. That's the consideration. On the call, Angus said, this, he gave like this cautionary. Like, okay, people think that we're going to be these drones that are going to be able to kill without a human connection, fully autonomous systems, and then you like, okay, stuff is like 4 years away, and no benefit to comedy. Ones aren't going to kill us in 4 years. So, just enough time for SLS might have hit by that. So I would say in the LiDAR thing, as always, we have a mark at around $26 and that kind of stuff, right? In which we are putting puts on HSAI. They are a Chinese company that likes to steal and then Ouster, long dated calls, chairs, I think going back to 40. MVIS is your Activision and DIS. That is your, do you feel like gambling play?
It's certainly that.
It's, I mean, it's either zero or
Or hero. You're either no, dude. It's either zero or hero, right? You're either getting launched up to Mount Olympus or plummeting straight down into fucking Hades, because that thing is either gonna squeeze like crazy, or it's gonna announce it's going bankrupt and then squeeze like crazy. But that could come from 10 cents. But either way, like something's happening there.
I want to put that on your guys' radar. I under there.
Jesus Christ.
Now, because I do talk about House a lot. House is the one which I am probably in the tech sector. Obviously Nvidia, but House is probably the one which I am the most bullish on. 13 straight quarters of their guidance of increasing the products.
And if you look at their margin on this last one, like that was a massive shift. There was a massive shift in revenue and margin. Yeah, being profitable as an emerging tech growth company is like something that's impressive, because this is a relatively new company to the market. Is something you also have to realize.
This is also, we talk about this all the time. We're, I said it already on this call. I want to be a fundamentals based trader. I want to. When you talk to me about one of these tickers in which I am talking about, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, this is live spam. Like I want to be able to say, this is in place, this is in place, this is the most. We, as far as a trade up fundamentals play, how they have handled their rollout fucking excellent.
Oh, it's great.
We recognize that getting into cars is stupid. Our tech is not ready, but we are ready for. We're ready to be on top. All right, we're ready to be. We're ready to, because they're doing traffic. Called their they're in Nashville, a couple other cities where they use their system to actively change how traffic patterns work. Like that thing we've always thought that we need to have. Where so then on top of that, they do have defense contracts. We're not allowed to talk about those. Then on top of that, humanoid robotics, which is hilarious to me. But agricultural and manufacturing, that's they said these are the areas which we're going to focus on. They
They've
did that. Every other LiDAR company is still having losses. They're almost in profit.
they've actually been doing. I was reading an article the other day about all of the lidar that's being used in like land surveying. So that's like a super common use for it apparently, and Oust has been selling a lot of units to these like massive, basically like new construction firms.
I mean, it was the exact. I mean, I was holding a $7 average on them. I love this company. I think end of the year. If it is straight up solid, you don't need to worry about it. Take the money, but and there's also one of those things I think about a lot. Like, what do I think is more likely? Is Nvidia going to double this year, or is something else going to double?
It's not Nvidia at this price. It's not Nvidia at this price. No. Nvidia doubling was like 3 years ago. Keep up, guys. So we did. Ugh. Yeah. What? Ugh. I I fucking hate all of them. To be so honest with you, I dislike all of them. I think they're all so bad. That's just me. Yeah, not.
Ever since that SATA came out, that company, the people who hold the SATA shares are going to make the money. People that are holding the ASST shares are right. If you're still holding an ASST, I would say get out. SSET, slightly better. I think Ethereum has utility. I think they're actually or they're digging into Ethereum. Good. I don't like crypto plays.
I don't either. I could see a case for Ethereum being a little bit higher than it currently is. I think that when you're looking at like Bitcoin, Bitcoin really benefited from being first mostly. Um, but as far as like its actual utility, right? Like it doesn't really have much, right? The Ethereum blockchain can be used for a whole lot more. So I actually have a friend in here that's very into crypto. Is he still in the chat? Yes, he is, which is Dynamite. And he and I talk about this all the fucking time, right? Um, so for me, ASST, like they chose to kind of pivot their business model into buying the top of Bitcoin and holding it.
Yeah, but they did that with an insider of Trump's capital.
I guess I don't know. I just think that I just think that it's a really poorly run company, and every company that doesn't have a business model, right? Looking at you, MicroStrategy, the first thing that they do is they just go buy a bunch of Bitcoin, and they're like, "Oh, hey, look at us, we're a proxy for Bitcoin now," because they couldn't actually run a business.
We know that Coolidge built the model. We know that they're like,
They're a little bit different.
yeah, but like we know that they are capable of manufacturing something, and then they decide to just go and screw all of their shareholders over by saying, "Oh, by the way, we're taking the money that you gave us to buy Bitcoin."
It's
Like
crazy.
we diluted you now for 8 straight quarters. Guess what? We're buying Bitcoin for today. Oh, don't worry, that Bitcoin's now worth half what it was. So, for the people that are in that, just I agree. And I want to, if we're already 15 minutes past what we said we're going to do, let's touch on Dennis's UAV and on this.
So I could talk about these. So antimony, as those of you who know in my stream, it's something that I've been harping on and on about since basically the beginning of the year, right? Going into January. Initially got that position with Dennis right around 650 through 7, I think is where we really started entering heavy. And so this is the only like truly functional antimony refiner or refinery active in the US, right? Antimony, for those of you who are not aware, is a mineral that generally needs to be imported. It is used in making ammunition. It's used in explosives. It's also used in refining out and finishing plastics, right? So it has a lot of different military and industrial uses. And China was the big exporter of it. Unfortunately, they cut us off from it completely. So now this is a domestic source, right? This is a domestic source of refined antimony, which is incredibly valuable, right? It's incredibly valuable. Um, so I think that what you are going to see is, again, right, a gradual repricing, and we kind of saw it start to happen down here when, there were a bunch of concerns about silver being cut off, right? You saw a flock into a lot of these rare earths and minerals, and antimony, benefited tremendously from it. Um, Again, right, this is something that I've talked about on stream a lot. So for any of you guys that are regularly there, sorry, just bear with me. We're gonna we're gonna catch everyone up real quick. So being that they are the only U.S. source, it stands to reason that they will be getting all of the business here in the U.S. Pretty much all of it, right? Because it's easier to just get it here rather than have to import it from somewhere else and pay exorbitant tariffs, pay the extra tariffs because it's a mineral, and potentially not be able to get it at all because the country that would export it is no longer doing that kind of business with the U.S., right? It's also seen quite a bit of activity surrounding the Iranian conflict just because of its numerous military applications. Clearly, we're very, very interested in explosives as a country here in the U.S. and ammunition as well, especially when we're fighting, another country across the world. So um, this is a pretty clear play. It generally moves in sympathy with silver and gold. So you know, uh, just kind of keep an eye on it. It's like a more volatile version of those two, which have grown increasingly volatile in the last few months, anyways. So there's a lot of good trading opportunities here, and I think that this is a really good long hold.
Isn't there news of a second mine that they've also possibly got going on?
Yeah, I don't know that that's confirmed yet. I think that's still kind of just a rumor. So I don't want to base anything off of that, right? It's not like AGI where I was telling you guys that, and I knew for a fact there was a second mine, and I won't reveal how. Yeah. Okay. Uh, Next we have Ondus. Oh, go ahead. Perfect, perfect. So next up we have Ondus, right? If you are not familiar with Ondus, Ondus is not only a drone company, but they are basically like an entire drone ecosystem. So what they've been doing is they have been offering and using those offerings, right, to build basically a strategic web of drone and drone related businesses, right? They also do have uh, a legacy like train business where they build like the signals for trains and everything. It's a very small part of the company, so it's not really a headwind or a tailwind, right? It's just kind of there, and it adds a little bit to the free cash flow. Um, but basically, these guys not only build drones, but they build drones that hunt drones, right? And they build the networks that drones operate on. So they build the hardware side, they build the software side. They have a segment of their business which is uh, like Ondus Capital, right? That is their investment arm, where they will go out and strategically acquire controlling interests in private drone companies. For instance, they've had a few contracts in Israel lately, or rather, had a few acquisitions of companies in Israel that operate over there, and also a few that operate here. They recently moved their headquarters down to Palm Springs, just a few blocks away from Mar-a-Lago. So that's kind of one of the things that you should probably keep in mind, right? Like that's the kind of play this is. And the hedge fund that Donald Trump Jr. runs is heavily invested in this. So my thesis personally, a lot of it was just kind of common sense, right? Like, one, are drones going to be the future? Well, we saw how useful even like some drones purchased on fucking Amazon were, in Ukraine against Russia. Like, we're seeing that live still, right? An $80 drone that's able to incapacitate an entire platoon, you know. Um, so I think that as far as, like, are they tried and tested at this point? Yes, especially the more advanced ones like the ones Ondas builds. Um, are there is there incentive for this administration to give any kind of major, uh, any kind of major military contract to Ondas over, say, Red Cat? Well, I think that there is, because Trump's son stands to benefit from it, right? They've been long since like $2. So I think that if anyone's going to get that contract, right, common sense to me dictates that it's going to be his kid, right? It's going to be the thing that's going to pay his kid out, um, and that just seems like common sense, right? We have been stuck in this channel for quite some time, and we've had some really big breakouts, up to the top, that just immediately get sold into, right? One of these, I think it was this one, from last Friday, was an offering, or maybe it was actually last Monday. It was one of these two big wicks up, where we had an offering. And then, we've just been relatively stable, kind of sitting here as the market churns everyone out. So I'm feeling really confident, that we have kind of like found our new floor here, and I'm really excited to see kind of what happens next. Expecting probably a Department of War contract, additional police, department contracts like what they've had. They have, I think it's, what is it, the FIFA World Cup contract, and then also, a contract for, Border Patrol. So, the applications of drones and anti-drone systems are just massive. The ways that you can use this technology, and I think that they have found an interesting niche and built a strategic moat around themselves. Uh, Regarding having an ecosystem, right? Not just being, hey, we make the drone, but we make the drone and everything you could possibly need related to the drone, right? There's a lot of power, um, in creating a business where everyone can just go one-stop shop, all your needs are met, right? People love that, and corporations love that even more. They want simplified transactions. Um, so I really do feel good about Ondas, and excited to see what happens next. Excited to see what happens next here.
So, key conclusion.
Yeah.
One, everybody join others Discord.
Yeah.
And
I was about to say, I promise that you guys, you guys would see, some really crazy charts. Everything is, mapped out as far as, where all the resting liquidity is, and, basically I just put those out so that way we have a reference to trade off of, right? A reference to trade off of, a place where we know where we're going to enter our swings. And then if any of you guys trade futures, we actually do a live stream every single morning, um, every day that isn't a weekend or a bank holiday, right? So Monday through Friday, um, we do, a live stream where we trade, futures and CFDs, and some people even just trade like the S&P 500 with us, right? So come in, come check it out. This is what has been occupying all of my time. I've been very busy building this and trying to, just kind of build something that doesn't really exist, for like the retail trading community. So stop on in.
what enabled, the SLS room and the club room. And, you know, I just, like I said, supporting you supports us. And as far as like the next call, there was a bunch of stuff like we talked earlier in the messages. Um, we have a whole slew of But what I would like to do is probably for next week's call, like if you have one of these items that you feel like you are well versed in, we would love to get you guys in on the calls.
Absolutely.
Like the more that it needs to be, rather than me talking a little bit about each one, we need the authorities here. Like we need. So reach out to me this week if you think that you have something. I know Anna has something that she's very very bullish on. I'm gonna try to get her to talk about hers, and Bell has one as well. And it would be nice to actually listen to some of the other members of the community. Like, let's start building that way a little bit more.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think I'm done for the night.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to call it. So thank you everybody for coming in. Oh,
We have available on YouTube. If you haven't, that's the other thing you guys can do. We are going to put this up on YouTube, right, Father?
yeah, it's actually already up on there. Yeah, like
You guys can watch it on YouTube and share it. But like I was saying earlier, we have like some high hopes for things that we're able to accomplish, and the more that we can show that we have eyes on this, the more power we have to kind of push some of those other things. So,
yeah,
I'm not gonna
getting
be the person who says like and subscribe, but fucking like and subscribe.
I was about to say that the more eyes that we can show that we have on this, the more willing you're going to find like board members and big personalities that are associated with stocks willing to come on and talk with us. So you know that's it really does kind of help all of us, right? Just be part of the community, show your support, fucking like and share it, and we'll see what we can build. We'll see what we can build together. But I think that the power of community has been a proven success over at like obviously with SLS, with a couple of other things that we've done since then, and I'm really excited to see what happens next. Right, really excited to see what happens next. But if you want my daily thoughts on everything, um, join up in this room, and you will literally have like 6 to 8 charts a night, kind of going over where things are and the levels to trade around, right where all the resting liquidity is. And as you guys probably know, I'm actually fairly good at this. Like I might have a little bit of a reputation for sniping the bottom on SLS and calling all the moves. There's a reason that I'm able to do that, right? And it's entirely through technical analysis. So yeah, just come hang out, check it out on YouTube, and let's fucking get it, guys. Let's fucking get it. Have a great night. Yes, absolutely, agreed. Take care, everyone.